Joe Biden may have named his new press secretary after Trump debated Savannah Guthrie last night. Google cannot show any results about the Biden town hall without mentioning the Trump town hall. We'll talk just a bit about that. Dianne Feinstein may be in just a little bit of trouble after she went up and hugged Lindsey Graham after the Amy Coney Barrett hearings, and college enrollment may be dropping by double digits. I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Good morning, folks. Welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar. We have got a bunch of stuff to get to today here. This may be the biggest and most packed Contemporary yet. I have 28 tabs open. Usually I cap it at 21 to 23 because that's about the time we get to an hour and 15 minutes, and that's about as long as we need to go for. But my God, did we have so much going on yesterday. And we've got a bunch of stuff to talk to as well. Let me get the live chat up here. Looks like we've even got some people watching over on Instagram, which is great. So let's get the live chat up in here. Let's get to talking, and let's get up on into the news. But before we do that, head on over to freedomscoop.com. Freedomscoop.com is going to be your one-stop shop for all of your news and commentary needs. We carry great shows such as The Generational Gap, The Daily Ignoramus. We also carry The Breakdown with Birkenhoff, The Freckles and Brit Show, and The R-Rated Conservative. Come on over there and hang out with us. Pick up some of our swag and help us support great creators. All right, before we go into any of the big news we have of the day, we're going to look at the stocks. So let's back up to that. It looks like the Dow had a fairly break-even day. They came out just below 0.069% below, 19.8 points down, which meant that we had a fairly, steady climb throughout the day after a few days of losses. And it still started down, but it was just a little bit of a climb on the way up. So hopefully we'll be seeing some more stuff pop up off of here. Hopefully, by any means, we will start seeing more stuff come out of this. We're coming into the election, and people are going to start knowing what they're doing. The futures look good for the day, so let's go see what we've got going on over there. Starting with Investors Business Daily, Dow Jones futures rise on coronavirus vaccine, Boeing 737 MAX news, Zoom Video and Bizone, Apple, Amazon set up. From Ed Carson. Dow Jones futures rose modestly early Friday along with S&P 500 futures and NASDAQ futures amid coronavirus vaccine news and a green light for the Boeing 737 MAX. So nobody's flying, but we're going to start making more planes. The stock market rally extended losses Thursday on stimulus deal doubts but closed well off session lows, with Apple stock among several big cap techs working on lower buy points. Pfizer said Friday that it could apply for emergency FDA approval of its coronavirus vaccine by late November. Pfizer and partner BioNTech could have preliminary late-stage data this month showing COVID-19 vaccine candidate is effective. It would apply for emergency use after safety data are in after the third week of November. Pfizer stock and BioNTech stock rose modestly before the open. And all I think about when I hear about Pfizer on the news is when, and I've said this before on the show, but on the King of the Hill episode when they figured out that Dale Gribble was a test subject for one of the Army super drugs. And then Bill was the one that was the test subject. And then Dale Gribble looked through his file and found out that Bill is taking a large dose of the highly complicated drug placebo. I think it's made by the Pfizer Corporation. Every time I hear Pfizer, that's exactly what I think of. Europe's aviation regulator said the Boeing 737 MAX is safe to fly now after being grounded. Since March of 2019, the jet could resume flights before the end of the year, even though a software fix Europe has demanded may not be ready for 2 years. Boeing rose 4% early on Friday, which, once again, nobody's flying right now, but let's throw some more planes into circulation so we can send more airplanes empty around the world. It's contrails, as Stephen Ignoramus would say. It is definitely contrails. Intuitive Surgical reported third quarter results late Thursday. Intuitive earnings and revenue fell less than expected, but the robotic surgical system maker did not offer guidance. ISRG stock fell 3.5% before Friday's open. On Thursday, the stock market rally opened sharply lower and struggled in the early going amid stimulus deal concerns, rising coronavirus cases, and big losses by Fastly and Vertex Pharmaceuticals. Fastly stock and Vertex plunged, but the broader impact was limited. Datadog and Viva Systems briefly undercut 5 points and then rebounded higher. Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Adobe all continued work on possible handles, which would offer lower entries. Meanwhile, Zoom Video blasted out of a high tight flag. On the flip side, Tesla fell back to its buy point. Tesla stock is on IBD leaderboard along with Microsoft, Adobe, Viva, and Zoom Video. Amazon stock, Datadog, Apple, Viva, and Zoom Video are on Swing Trader. Microsoft stock and Adobe are on the IBD long-term leaders. Viva stock, Amazon, and Microsoft are on the IBD 50. On the futures, Dow futures rose 0.3% versus fair value, with Pfizer and Boeing stock providing a slight lift. S&P 500 futures climbed 0.3%. NASDAQ 100 futures were up 0.4%. Remember that pre-market action at Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. President Trump, in a Thursday night town hall event, again urged passage of a coronavirus stimulus bill. Earlier Thursday, Trump said he could go higher than his previously raised offer of $1.8 trillion on a new coronavirus stimulus deal. House Democrats want $2.2 trillion. Of course they do, because they are not shy about spending your money and still cite differences. Pork. Perhaps more important, Senate Republicans want a much smaller bill. So that's what we're seeing up in the stocks right now. Let's take a brief counterpoint from CNBC. Stocks closed lower for a third day amid concern over U.S. stimulus. Europe coronavirus spike. From Fred Imbert. Stocks fell for a third day in a row on Thursday as hope for a U.S. coronavirus stimulus deal continues to decrease, while infections across Europe are on the rise. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed 19.8 points lower, 0.07%, at 28,494.20 earlier in the day. However, the 30-stock average was down more than 300 points. The S&P 500 slid 0.2% to 3483.34, and the NASDAQ Composite pulled back 0.5% to 11,713.87. Facebook led most of the big tech lower, falling 1.9% amid rising regulatory concerns and the fact that they suck. Amazon dipped 0.8%, Alphabet and Microsoft each fell 0.5%, and Apple dipped 0.4%. Those losses were somewhat offset by gains in bank and energy names. JP Morgan Chase, Morgan Stanley, and Citigroup were all up more than 1%. ExxonMobil and Chevron gained 0.9% and 0.8% respectively. Thursday's losses marked the third straight daily decline for the major averages, their longest losing streak in nearly a month. But hopefully, with the news that we're seeing on the futures, on the fact that they're up just slightly, hopefully that means that we will be seeing just a little bit of relief from this. And hopefully these two town halls that we saw and the Amy Coney Barrett hearings will all lead to that as well. So let's keep going off of this here and get into the big news, the dueling town halls. I'm going to get some autoplay here, but I've got your audio off, so it's not going to hit you. I love how this is marked as an opinion piece, and the same piece over on CNN would be the rock solid news. Don't you ever question us on the rock solid news. All right, but from Fox News, Dan Gaynor, Trump's NBC town hall turns into debate with moderator and Trump wins. From Dan Gaynor. Some news events live up to their billing. The NBC town hall with President Trump Thursday night lived down to it. Today's show anchor, Savannah Guthrie, was supposed to be the moderator at an event where the president would take questions from citizens and the audience. Instead, she hogged the time and peppered Trump with numerous questions about his personal health that few Americans could answer as specifically as she demanded. It wasn't a town hall, it was a debate, except instead of Trump debating Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden, as originally planned, Trump had to debate with Guthrie. And the winner of the debate, hands down, was Trump. Guthrie harassed Trump about masks and about holding White House events during the coronavirus pandemic. Then she demanded yet again that Trump denounce the white supremacy. I actually missed that because I was listening to it. I pulled up the debate while I was driving. I was listening to it, and then I got a phone call. Just a couple seconds after Savannah Guthrie popped that question. Then she demanded yet again that Trump denounce white supremacy. The president has done that repeatedly, yet the leftist press keeps bringing it up. Removing any doubt, the president told Guthrie, "Are you listening? I denounce white supremacy. What's your next question?" Guthrie responded, "Well, it feels sometimes you're hesitant to do so." The president then said, "Here we go again. My people came. I'm sure they'll ask you the white supremacy question. I denounce white supremacy, and frankly, you want to know something? I denounce Antifa and these people on the left burning down the cities that are run by Democrats who don't know what they're doing." God damn, I wish I'd have seen that. It took 20 minutes into the hour-long event before Guthrie let the audience chime in. Even once the actual town hall portion of the program got going, Guthrie ripped it back to push her own agenda, talking about Trump's taxes. In another confrontation, Guthrie openly told Trump he was wrong for his opinion. "You have said the only way we lose this election is if it's rigged," Guthrie argued. "Now that is simply not true. The fact is either candidate can lose fair and square without ballot fraud." Guthrie did a lot of arguing. That's exactly what the press and NBC staffers demanded. New York Times media columnist Ben Smith tweeted before the town hall, "Enormous pressure on NBC now to make this thing a nightmare for Trump." And oh boy did they ever. I caught the back half of it, and yeah. And the dude actually lost his cool. I had to talk a couple times watching this thing about the fact that he might have lost the election over this particular town hall, which, I mean, that would be the hard-on moment for NBC, but still. NBC staffers made sure that more than 100 top showrunners, producers, and stars have sent a petition to Comcast and NBC Universal executives protesting the timing of tonight's town hall with President Trump, The Hollywood Reporter reported. Politico reported the internal conflict extends to the highest levels of NBC Universal, where MSNBC head Phil Griffin strongly disagreed with NBC News President Noah Oppenheim's decision to unilaterally move forward with the town hall, which was held at the same time as ABC aired a town hall scheduled earlier with former Vice President Biden. Trump himself had predicted NBC would be insanely biased, tweeting, "I will be doing a major fake NBC News town hall forum tonight from Miami at 8 p.m. They asked me to do it in place of the rigged Steve Scully. He's now suspended from C-SPAN for lying debate. I wonder if they'll treat me as well as Sleepy Joe. They should." The president was right. He also criticized the network during a Greenville, North Carolina rally earlier in the day. "So I'm being set up tonight. I'm doing this town hall with Concast. C-O-N, right, Con, because it's a con job." You gotta admit he's got a sense of humor about it. But Trump more than held his own against the moderator. He repeatedly pointed out the economy is doing well, adding at the end that our economy is strong, and next year it's going to be better than ever, the president concluded, finally getting the last word in over Guthrie's interruptions. And that was what that was, and I mean, we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about over on the Biden one too, but there's just a few more I want to talk about with Trump. But that's one thing to point out with all of this is the fact that, yes, and I called this right off the beginning, this was going to be people sitting here and watching and waiting for Trump to say something stupid, egged on by NBC, while Joe Biden could have mouth diarrhea over on ABC and nobody was paying attention. All right, let's keep going here. My mouse will cooperate. All right, from CNBC, the facts, the truth, the news with Shepard Smith. Dude, nobody cares about Shepard Smith. But let's see what the business side of NBC had to say about this. Trump grilled on coronavirus and conspiracy theories, intense town hall from Kevin Breininger. President Trump fielded an intense line of questioning at a town hall on Thursday night that touched on the coronavirus, conspiracy theories, and his re-election campaign. "Oh, you always do this. You always do this," Trump said at one point when the moderator, NBC's Vanna Guthrie, asked him to clearly denounce white supremacy, a sticking point following his answer in last month's presidential debate that left even some of his supporters unsatisfied. "Are you listening? I denounce white supremacy. What's your next question? Let's keep going. Let's move on." The event in Miami, less than 3 weeks from Election Day was hastily scheduled after the cancellation of a second presidential debate between Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. The president had flatly refused to take part in that event after the commission sponsoring the debate opted to hold the second showing virtually rather than in person. In its place, Trump and Biden participated in dueling town halls set in different states, but scheduled to start at the same time. Trump's town hall was aired on NBC News, while Biden's event was broadcast from Philly on ABC News. The bitter, fiery first debate in late September was marked by Trump's frequent interruptions and Biden's harsh language, but fireworks flew freely from town hall Thursday night as well. Guthrie kicked off the hour-long event by grilling Trump about some of the unanswered questions surrounding his coronavirus diagnosis, revealed earlier in October. The president said he did not remember whether he was tested on the day of the first debate with Biden, which occurred less than a week before Trump announced that he had contracted the virus. Possibly I did, possibly I didn't, Trump said. Guthrie shifted her focus to the in-person events Trump had hosted, including his signature campaign rallies, which have recently resumed after the president's hospitalization with the coronavirus. Attendees at the rallies are often packed tightly without wearing masks or other protective gear, and health experts have warned that events could facilitate the spread of COVID-19. As president, I have to be out there, Trump said, explaining that he can't be locked in a very beautiful room somewhere in the White House. He acknowledged that it's risky doing it. Guthrie replied, "You want to be a leader, but you're a leader and a setter of an example." Asked about masks specifically, Trump said, "I'm good with masks," but he quickly added, "But just the other day they came out with a statement that 85% of the people that wear masks catch it." Guthrie pushed back. "They didn't say that. I know that study." The president appeared to be referring to a CDC report from mid-September, which said that people who have tested either positive or negative for COVID-19 report wearing masks at similar rates, NBC reported. The CDC tweeted Wednesday that interpretation that more mask wearers are getting infected compared to non-mask wearers was incorrect. Guthrie also pressed the president on QAnon, the controversial pro-Trump conspiracy theory that has reportedly exploded in popularity online. The baseless theory... This is not an opinion piece. You don't get to say fucking baseless. Fuck you, CNBC. Among other things, that Trump is secretly fighting against deep state factions of powerful satanic pedophiles who are plotting against him and his supporters. Trump has previously said he knows little about QAnon other than that its followers like him, which he appreciates. Guthrie laid out some of the core components of QAnon before asking Trump if he could explicitly disavow it. "I know nothing about QAnon," Trump began. I just told you," Guthrie shot back. "You told me, but that doesn't necessarily make it a fact." Find all the facts and draw your own conclusions. Attaboy, Mr. Trump. The president pivoted to railing against far-left Antifa demonstrators, who law enforcement officials have blamed for violent attacks in cities across the U.S. "I know how they're burning down cities run by Democrats, the worst Democrats, not run by the greatest, the best Republicans," Trump said. Guthrie returned to QAnon. "I don't know about QAnon," Trump said again. "You do know," she said. Trump replied, I don't know. You tell me about it. Let's waste the whole show. You start off with white supremacy. I denounce it. You start off with something else. Let's go. Keep asking me these questions." "Why aren't you asking me about Antifa?" Trump continued. "Why aren't you asking me about the radical left?" Trump campaign spokesman Tim Murtaugh, in a statement after the town hall, slammed Guthrie, saying she'd acted as a debate opponent and Joe Biden surrogate. Maybe a press secretary, who knows? But, yeah, that's what CNBC had to say about this. And it's funny that the Fox News piece on the same thing was marked as an opinion piece, and this was actually put out as actual full-on fact, in spite of the fact that they put right into there the baseless theory, talking about QAnon. You don't get to judge the basis of QAnon as a fact-checking or a fact article. If this was an op-ed, then yes, you could come out and say things like baseless. But that's not what this was. All right, let's keep going here. I got one from Politico. Inside Trump's town hall, plenty of sparring and a few cheers. From Gabby Orr. His Democratic opponent was more than 1,000 miles away when he took the stage here, but that didn't stop President Trump from delivering a performance every bit as defiant. Fresh off a North Carolina campaign rally where a sea of maskless supporters greeted him with adoration, Trump faced a vastly different environment when he sat down Thursday night several feet away from NBC Today anchor Savannah Guthrie and dozens of socially distanced voters for a televised town hall. Within minutes, he was sparring with Guthrie on everything from rising COVID-19 infection rates that several states have faced this week to whether a far-right conspiracy theory known as QAnon, which claims Satan-worshipping pedophiles have infiltrated the government, is worthy of attention. You know what? There's only one Q that I acknowledge. Only one. And it is John Delancey. That is the real Q right there. I just don't know about QAnon. Let's waste a whole show. You start off with white supremacy, I denounced it. Why aren't you asking me about Antifa? Why aren't you asking me about the radical left? I condemn pedophilia, Trump said, slamming Guthrie for her line of questioning. It was an opportunity for Trump to dismiss the media, scientific experts, political opponents, and anything else in his way of voting underway in most of the country. Trump tried to make the most of it, despite an audience size that was set to be a small fraction of what an official presidential debate would have garnered. Like a boxer consulting his coach during breaks, the president was egged on by aides. When Guthrie and the audience paused for commercials, some clustered around the president for several minutes during the breaks. At the edge of the stage during an event stood White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, Director of Strategic Communications Alyssa Farah, and Senior Campaign Advisor David Bossie. Trump's daughter Tiffany and Kimberly Guilfoyle, the girlfriend of his eldest son Don Jr., were also seated among the audience. During one TV break, Trump stood up and acknowledged the small audience behind him, some of whom delivered a whoop and a cheer, another calling out, "Latinos for Trump!" It was a sticky, warm night, because it was Miami. They don't have anything less than 120% humidity in Florida. I know, I've been there. I actually can't say that because I was only there for a week, and it was June. So you're expected to have sticky 120% humidity. Hell, we have that here in Wisconsin in June. But from what people like John from the Generational Gap have told me, that is a year-round thing for them. For the event at an outdoor terrace at the Perez Art Museum in Miami, the setting marked a starkly different scene from the flurry of rallies Trump has embarked on. In the final 3 weeks before Election Day, most of the rallies feature crowds packed shoulder to shoulder, just like they were pre-pandemic. Many not wearing masks. Thursday's town hall event forced Trump into an environment designed for social distancing, with many attendees shown wearing masks. So that's what we saw from that. That's what Politico saw from that. Let's keep going. I've got, just two more on the Trump one, and then we're going to move into the one that nobody watched, the Biden one. All right, from Newsweek, a woman called Trump handsome during his town hall, and the internet lost it. From Ayla Slisko. An apparent admirer of President Trump praised him for being handsome during Thursday night's town hall event on NBC, prompting strong reactions from some on social media. A woman that moderator Savannah Guthrie identified as Paulette Dale, who was said to have voted for former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton in 2016 and leaned slightly towards Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden in the current election, appeared to flirt with the president just before asking him a question. "Good evening, Mr. President. I have to say you have a great smile," Dale, a registered Republican, said as Trump thanked her with a wide grin. "You're so handsome when you smile." The comment quickly provoked colorful reactions, ranging from mockery and disgust to approval and agreement on Twitter. President Trump looked very handsome tonight, Andrea Katsamatidis, chair of the Manhattan Republican Party, tweeted in agreement. Joe Biden looks old. Well, they both kind of look old. Actually, let's have a listen to that. We have the opportunity. We have the technology. Or we can just go off to another window. That's cool too. Hold on.
Evening, Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
I have to say, you have a great smile.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, he does. You're so handsome when you smile. evening, Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
I have to say, you have a great smile.
Got you. Thank you.
So, he does. You're so handsome when you...
That is what you call a racist, sexist assault smirk. Just like with Nick Sandman. Let's keep going. Best moment tonight, Mr. President. You're so handsome when you smile. This woman stole the show, tweeted GOP strategist Diana London. Trump blushes and smiles bigger than I've ever seen. Love our president. Trump's dragon energy, winning over this leaning Biden voter before he even answers their question. At Fog City Midge, a self-described pro-Trump patriot, tweeted, some strongly disagreed with the suggestion that the 74-year-old president is a specimen of physical beauty, while others expressed bewilderment that the flirtation happened or suspicion that Dale was genuinely leaning towards Biden. Oh, boy. Oh my God, did that just happen? Former NBC host Katie Couric tweeted. Oh my God, the woman just called Trump handsome, tweeted attorney and author Rabia Chaudhry. Ma'am, you need new glasses. Love this lady. She's hashtag leaning Biden, but knows exactly how to manipulate this egomaniac, tweeted writer Andy Ostroy. Did you see how he smiled when she said he's so handsome? Too funny. So, yeah, of course, half of the rabid left. And all people with blue checks, I might add with that, hated the fact that this woman paid the President of the United States a compliment. Kind of shows you who's in the tank for who. Let's keep going. From Fox. Wait for this autoplay to catch up and figure out what the hell they're going to do. From Bree Stimson. Audience member nodding along with Trump during the NBC town hall goes viral. An audience member seated behind President Trump during his Thursday NBC town hall in Miami went viral on social media after she was seen repeatedly nodding along with his comments and giving a thumbs up. Might as well just throw this back in because I'm sure we're going to have a lot more to listen to with this. From Students for Trump tweeted out.
Question. I denounce white supremacy. Okay. And frankly, you want to know something? I denounce Antifa, and I denounce these people on the left that are burning down our cities that are run by Democrats who don't know what they're...
Let's watch that again.
Question. I denounce white supremacy. Okay. And frankly, you want to know something? I denounce Antifa, and I denounce these people on the left that are burning down our cities that are run by Democrats who don't know what they're...
Ah, there she goes. Annie Frey did the same thing. Who is the red mask lady? Love her. Now, go away. I don't want to go to a new window for this.
30 seconds, what would you say to them?
Because they've done a great job. We had the strongest economy in the world. We closed it up. We are coming around the corner. The vaccines are coming out soon, and our economy is strong. We are at a level with jobs like we've never been before. We've rebuilt our military. We've rebuilt our borders. We had no borders. We had no nothing.
30 seconds, what would you say to them?
Because they've done a great job. We had the strongest economy in the world. We closed it up. We are coming around the corner. The vaccines are coming out soon, and our economy is strong. We are at a level with jobs like we've never been.
All right, let's keep going off of that one. And yeah, that went viral yesterday. Which is weird because Twitter was down for a little while. The woman identified by the Miami Herald as Mara Jolie is an immigration attorney and pro-Trump activist who ran for Congress in Florida in 2018. Jolie was able to speak to the president after the town hall ended, according to a video she posted on her Facebook page, the Herald reported. "We have your back, you see. You are the best," she told him. While he was speaking to voters afterward, he asked her where she's from and and said he appreciates the support. Jolie Mara was live, so yeah, she had a little live stream going up too. Some Biden supporters were miffed at Jolie's inclusion in the town hall audience because it was mainly focused on undecided voters. No, it wasn't. But host Savannah Guthrie said there was a mix of Biden and Trump supporters in the crowd. Others accused her of being a plant. Liz Garba says, I'm feeling a lot of rage about this. Sarah Cooper says, same. This woman is nodding at things before he's even finished his thought. It's a psychological trick, and I cannot believe no producer, no camera person, no one is stopping it. Have you ever seen the mainstream news? Simi Garwell replied to Sarah Cooper saying, I've been tweeting about it nonstop at NBC News, but she became even more animated. I am surprised the online director didn't notice it, or maybe she was planted there. So, yeah, of course, anybody that's in support of the president right now is just going to piss people off, especially over on the left. Definitely something to watch for off of this here. Now let's flip over to the other side, and I've got just a few talking about the Biden town hall that nobody watched. Starting with ABC News. We have autoplay going, but I had your ears off already so that you guys didn't catch that. See? The duct tape is getting better. All right. Biden's ABC town hall, former VP lays out vision in stark contrast to Trump's, from Libby Cathy, Ajia Robinson, Lauren King, and Ivan Pereira. Why does it take 4 people to write an article? With less than 3 weeks to Election Day, Democratic nominee for President Biden faced voters directly in an ABC News town hall from the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia on Thursday night. The live special edition of 2020, titled The Vice President and the People, was moderated by George Stephanopoulos, because it couldn't be anybody else. The primetime event followed a fiery back and forth on the fate of the second presidential debate, which was originally scheduled for Thursday in Miami, but ultimately canceled last Friday. The nonpartisan Commission on Presidential Debates changed its format to be virtual following President Donald Trump's positive COVID-19 diagnosis, to which Trump took issue, saying he wouldn't waste time in a virtual debate. With Trump's rejection of the event, Biden then agreed to participate in the town hall with ABC News. Voters had the opportunity to ask the former vice president the questions most important to them. Mr. Vice President, why is Trump a meanie bobini head? Why is he a poopy head racist? The event was held in accordance with the state and local government health and safety regulations, as well as guidelines set forward by health officials. Trump, at the same time Thursday, participated in a town hall from Miami with NBC News. The president participated in an ABC News town hall in September. All right, so that's all that they have on this here. And one of the things to note about, and this was pointed out, and I looked at this, is Biden is practically sitting in a couch for all this. Biden and George are sitting in these large overstuffed chairs that they can sit back and be comfy in. And let me see if I can get a picture of what Trump was sitting in for this. I might not be able. Yeah, he's in practically a chair that I can't believe would be comfortable. I mean, that's all that the dude's got to seat his fat ass on. Is that. Meanwhile, Biden and Stephanopoulos are in these massively overstuffed, comfy chairs. All right. Let's keep going with this one. Biden pressed on "you ain't black" comment during a town hall from Brooke Singman. An undecided African-American voter took a veiled swipe at Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden Thursday night, asking the former vice president to give him an answer besides "you ain't black" for why young black voters should support him in the 2020 election. Cedric Humphrey asked the former vice president during a town hall hosted by ABC News' George Stephanopoulos Thursday night to address young black voters. Because you ain't black, what do you have to say to young black folks who see voting for you as further participation in a system that continually fails to protect them, Humphrey said. Humphrey was referring back to Biden's comments earlier this year during an interview with radio star Charlemagne the God. "I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black," Biden said during that interview. Let's sit back for a second and appreciate the fact that Charlemagne the God can pull some of these stupid comments out of these people with ease and efficiency. Who else can do that? I mean, he did what did he do? The hot sauce in the pockets thing? He did another big one, and I can't think of what it is right now. But then, yeah, he got Biden to come out and say, well, you ain't black. Biden on Thursday night responded to Humphrey by quoting the late Representative John Lewis, saying, it's a sacred opportunity, the right to vote. You can make a difference if young black women and men vote. You can determine the outcome of this election, Biden said. It's not a joke. You can do that. The former vice president, in an attempt to tout his record and highlight how he has demonstrated I care about my whole career, went on to discuss a fair and more decent criminal justice system and education, but then discussed black Americans and their position to gain wealth and generate wealth. Biden spoke about early education in Title I schools, which he said has increased funding for. But then went on to deliver a somewhat rambling answer, saying, every 3, 4, and 5-year-old goes to school, not daycare. School at all the great universities, including the one you go to or went to, or when you let them go to school, they make up rapidly whatever shortcomings they had in education prior to that. Biden added, they have not heard as many words spoken, etc., and said that 58% will increase to go through all 12 years of school successfully, and shifted to speaking about social workers. And you wonder why NBC ran another event with Trump in front of Biden. Like I said yesterday, it was probably no problem to stroke Trump's ego on this. Well, hey, guess what? You're going to have better ratings. I bet you have better ratings. Do you want to see if you have better ratings? Let's see if people watch your before or over Joe Biden's. I bet you that conversation went through the Oval Office or whatever room they went to go have this decision in. I bet you that conversation happened. And Trump came up and said, yes, I have the best ratings, the greatest ratings. Nobody's going to have better ratings than me, of course. I'll have a town hall at the same time Sleepy Joe Biden is. And then, more of America, just like I said yesterday, the MAGA hat-wearing people are out there saying, yeah, we're going to go see President Trump go up and get on in there, and he's going to do the great debate. And all of the people who are begrudgingly voting for Biden said, yeah, I'm going to see him say something racist. He's going to say something racist. Oh my God, we're going to see it. And nobody watched the Biden event. Game, set, match. Let's keep going. From the Blaze, NBC's Savannah Guthrie accused of bias after contentious Trump town hall. NBC's Savannah Guthrie received gushing reviews from leftists and scorn from conservatives after being visibly combative towards President Trump during the network's town hall for president Thursday night. Well, I'm not voting for either of those people, and I still think she was a cunt. The moderator pushed back forcefully against the president's responses in stark contrast to the tone set by ABC's George Stephanopoulos during his dueling town hall for Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden. Critics accused Guthrie of having a clear agenda against Trump. Yeah, fact check true. A lot of this is everything we've read already. Let's keep going. From the Daily Wire. Biden appears to tip his hand during town hall on whether he's open to court packing. From Ryan Saavedra. Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden appeared to tip his hand during last night's ABC News presidential town hall on whether he will pack the Supreme Court if elected, suggesting that he's open to the idea, depending on the outcome of Supreme Court confirmation of Amy Coney Barrett. Here's what you said exactly 1 year ago today at the Democratic debate. You said, I would not get into court packing. I would not pack the court. ABC News host George Stephanopoulos and former Clinton aide and former Clinton ballsucker. That's not what you're saying now. Is the nomination of Judge Barrett reason enough to rethink your position? And we are going to talk about that too, because I've got that article stacked up there. What I wanted to do, George, if I'd answer the question directly, then all focus would be on what's Biden going to do if he wins, instead of, is it appropriate? What's going on now? Yeah, that's what the conversation is supposed to be, you feeble old bastard. And it should stay. This is the thing that the president loves to do. He loves to take our eye off the ball of what's at stake, Biden responded. What's at stake is whether or not you're going to put 3 justices on the Supreme Court to swing the balance and get activists on there. You doddering old fool. One of the things that Pete has suggested is, and there's a number of constitutional scholars that suggested as well, is that there are at least 4 or 5 options that are available to determine whether or not you change the way in which the court lifetime appointments take place, consistently, arguably, with the Constitution. I've not been a fan of court packing because then it generates what will happen. Whoever wins, it just keeps moving in a way that it's inconsistent with what it's going to be manageable. So you're still not a fan, Stephanopoulos pressed. Well, I'm not a fan, but it depends on how this turns out. Not how he wins, but how it's handled. How it's handled, Biden responded. But there's a number of things that are going to be coming up, and he's going to be a lot of discussion about the alternatives as well. What does that mean, how it's handled, Stephanopoulos pressed? For example, there's actually a real live debate on the floor if people are really going to be able to have the time to go through this, Biden responded. I don't know anyone who's gone on the floor that's been a controversial justice in terms of making fundamentally or altering the makeup of the court that's gone through some in a day kind of thing. I mean, it depends on the makeup of the court has gone through in the day and the thing. I mean, it depends on how they rush this. And you think about it, George, you've got a lot of people not able to pay their mortgage, not able to put food on the table, not being able to keep their businesses open, not being able to do anything to deal with what's going on in the terms of our economy as consequences of COVID. And they have no time to deal with that, but they have time to rush this through. All right, let's actually have a listen to this because I am exhausted from doing the Biden voice and trying to imitate his stutter as we go along.
You should be able
But how about that question of expanding the court? Here's what you said exactly 1 year ago tonight at a Democratic debate. You said, I would not get into court packing. I would not pack the court. That's not what you're saying now. Is the nomination of Judge Barrett reason enough to rethink your position?
What is the nomination? What I wanted to do, George, if I had answered the question directly, then all the focus would be on what's Biden going to do if he wins, instead of on, is it appropriate what is going on now? And it should stay, this is the thing that the president loves to do, always take our eye off the ball. What's at stake? One of the things Pete has suggested is, and there's a number of constitutional scholars have suggested as well, that there are at least 4 or 5 options that are available to determine whether or not you can change the way in which the court lifetime appointment takes place, consistent, arguably, with the Constitution. I have not been a fan of court packing because I think it just generates what will happen. Whoever wins, it just keeps moving in a way that is inconsistent with what is going to be manageable.
So you're still not a fan?
Well, I'm not a fan. I then say it depends on how this turns out. Not how he wins, but how it's handled. How it's handled. But there's a number of things that are going to be coming up, and there's going to be a lot of discussion about other alternatives as well.
What does that mean, how it's handled? How will that determine whether you're for expanding the court?
For example, there's actually real live debate on the floor. If people are really going to be able to have a time to go through this, I don't know anybody who's gone on the floor and that's been a controversial justice in terms of fundamentally altering the makeup of the court that's gone through in a day kind of thing. I mean, it depends on how much they rush this. And you think about it, George. Here you got a lot of people not being able to pay their mortgage, not being able to put food on the table, not being able to keep their business open, not being able to do anything to deal with what's going on in terms of the economy as a consequence of COVID. And they have no time to deal with that, but they have time to rush this through.
Well, right now, it looks like they're going to have a vote around Halloween. So if they vote on it before the election, you are open to expanding the court?
I'm open to considering what happens from that point on.
You said so many times during the campaign, all through the course of your career, it's important to level with the American
But George,
people.
if I say, no matter what answer I gave you, if I say it, that's the headline tomorrow. It won't be about what's going on now, the improper way they're proceeding.
But don't voters have a right to know where you stand?
They do have a right to know where they stand. They'll have a right to know where I stand before they vote.
So you'll come out with a clear position before Election Day?
Yes, depending on how they handle this. But look, what you should do is you got to make sure you vote. and vote for a senator who, in fact, reflects your general view on constitutional interpretation. And vote for a president who is more in line with you. And if you oppose the position that I would not have appointed her, but if you oppose my position, vote for Trump. Vote for a Republican who shares that view. But that's your opportunity. I would not have appointed her, but if you oppose my position, vote for Trump. Vote for a Republican who, but if you oppose my position, vote for Trump. Have appointed her, but if you oppose my position, vote for I would not have appointed her, but if you oppose my position, vote for Trump. I would not have appointed her, but if you oppose my position, vote for Trump. Vote for a Republican who shares that view.
I oppose your position.
But that's your opportunity to get involved in life.
And I'm not going to vote for Trump, but that's what Biden says. If you oppose my position, vote for Trump. You heard it here, folks. All right, let's keep going. I've got one from The Hill, kind of a general back and forth on the two. Which they love to do autoplay. President Trump and his Democratic opponent Joe Biden vied for voters' attention with competing town halls on Thursday night that diverged dramatically in tone. The events on NBC and ABC respectively were inherently controversial because they occurred after the cancellation of a debate originally scheduled for the same evening. Trump had refused to submit to a request from the Commission on Presidential Debates that the clash should take place virtually. He wanted to debate in person. He signed an agreement saying that he would debate in person. Keep that in mind. A request declined by the Commission and the Biden camp. The two men will now meet for their final debate in Nashville on October 22nd. Trump on Thursday had a number of combative moments, sure to draw headlines. Biden ahead in the polls simply sought to stay in the course. And nobody watched his debate, so nobody really knows what happened with that. Here are the main takeaways from the dueling town halls. Number one, Trump waffles on QAnon. I don't know what QAnon is, except I know that they like me very much. The most headline-grabbing news of either event was Trump's meandering response on QAnon. That was not meandering. I don't know if you watched the same debate that it was a debate. I'm not going to call it a town hall. That was a debate with Savannah Guthrie. I don't know if you watched the same debate that I did, but that was not a meandering response by any means. Trump gave qualified praise for adherents of the theory, saying that they were at least strongly against pedophilia. The QAnon theory is so convoluted as to defy summary, but in essence it holds that the satanic group that includes high-profile Democrats, and Republicans by the way, is involved in a pedophile ring and that Trump will ultimately bring them down. When Savannah Guthrie pressed Trump about it in those terms, he said, I know nothing about QAnon. I know very little. I know the worst, the least. You told me, but that doesn't tell me necessarily make it a fact. Trump later reiterated, I just don't know about QAnon. You do know, Guthrie interjected. I don't know. Yeah, we listened to this exchange once already. Biden evasive on court packing, but keeps the door open. That's not even news at this point. Biden on the defensive over his record on crime and race. That's not news at this point. That's the campaign right there. You ain't black. Trump fumbles on masks and COVID-19. The president gets poor marks from the public on his handling of the coronavirus pandemic. Okay, he did the best that he could in the situation. Show me what somebody else would have done differently. Part of the problem is Trump's tangled and unclear position on mask wearing. At times he suggested it, and other times he said it was ineffective. He claimed falsely that 85% of the people who wear masks end up getting COVID-19. That's probably true because, if you'll remember, the CDC says that's not to protect you, that's to protect me. You wear your mask to protect me, is what the CDC says. So they're changing their position on this. He's changing his position because the experts, so-called, that we're supposed to be paying attention to, are constantly changing their position on it. Biden escapes with no game-changing moments because everybody was watching the Trump one. A good night for Savannah Guthrie, the new press secretary for the Joe Biden campaign. All right. That's enough of that one there. The last thing that I wanted to do on this before we went on to talk about actual real news that's going to affect people, other than two ancient men arguing with TV moderators, is what the Google search looked like, because I noticed that as soon as I started looking for articles and stuff to read about this here. So we look at Trump Town Hall, and this is the first page on, I'm sorry, this is the third page on Google. Let's go back to the first page up here. I thought I had this back up to the first page. But everything that we see here, Trump's Town Hall, well, this one's the dueling one, but oh, they changed it. They changed the order. So these were not on top results when I first looked at this. But for the most part, you see Trump's Town Hall, Trump's Town Hall, Trump's Town Hall. 6 takeaways. Those fuckers changed it. We completely missed the point that I was going to go with, because at 7 o'clock this morning, if you'd have done the same Google search, it would have been just a wall of Trump's Town Hall, Trump's Town Hall. Fact-checking Trump's Town Hall. And then the thing that I wanted to point to from this was going back to the very beginning, the top results on the Google side for Biden Town Hall were stark contrast between Trump and Biden Town Hall. Savannah Guthrie and George Stephanopoulos draw praise and hate after Trump and Biden Town Halls. So the point that I was trying to get to before they changed it on me was the fact that the Google search for Trump Town Hall was all about the Trump Town Hall, and the Google search for the Biden Town Hall was, well, Trump and Biden had competing town halls. Further going along with the fact that nobody watched the damn Biden Town Hall. But they fucked me on that one, so we'll just get rid of these and pretend that it didn't happen, even though it did. Duct tape, folks. You get what you pay for. And I've seen the PayPal statements. You need to help me buy better duct tape. All right, there's one more up here that the Daily Wire put out. What is the emoluments clause? Ian Howarth put this one out last night. But this is locked behind the paywall one, so fuck you, Daily Wire. We have the best duct tape over here, folks. All right, let's move on to something else that actually will affect us here. From CNN, Judiciary Democrats tried to delay Barrett confirmation after CNN's K-File finds omissions in Senate paperwork, from Veronica Strachwolursi over at CNN. Senate Judiciary Democrats attempted Thursday to indefinitely delay the nomination of Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court, arguing that they've had inadequate time to review her nomination after CNN's K-File found additional talks Barrett gave were not listed on her Senate paperwork. And yet, you want to put a 5,000-page omnibus package out there 36 hours before the government's about to run out of money and bitch when people say, well, we haven't had time to read it. How are we supposed to know what's in it? It's like the fucking ACA. You got to pass it to know what's in it. I believe that this rush sham process is a disservice to our committee. She has been rushed in a way that is historically unprecedented, Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut said on Thursday. Blumenthal published by CNN's K-File on Wednesday that public calendars from the University of Notre Dame's law school, where Barrett was a law professor, show at least 7 additional talks from 2004 to 2013, including one with the law school's anti-abortion group, were not listed on her paperwork submitted to the committee. CNN's K-File could not independently confirm Barrett's participation in the events, only that they were listed on Notre Dame's public calendars. The consequences of this rush process is that we have given inadequate scrutiny to this nominee. I move to delay these proceedings so that we can do our job and ask again for all the documents, Blumenthal said on Thursday. Yeah, how does it feel to change the filibuster so you can bang Elena Kagan through? Despite a tense debate with their Democratic colleagues, however, the panel's Republicans rejected the attempt to delay Barrett's nomination until after the election. The committee's GOP had decided earlier Thursday to set an October 22nd committee vote to advance Barrett for a full Senate vote. CNN had reached out to Barrett's chambers for comment about the omissions, but they did not respond. Barrett is required to disclose to the Senate Judiciary Committee all public talks she has given in her professional career, a committee staffer has said. The White House told CNN on Wednesday that Barrett had been nothing but transparent with the committee. Senator Patrick Leahy of Vermont also referred to CNN's reporting in his arguments for Barrett's nomination to be delayed, saying that records of her undisclosed speeches and materials continue to pour in. I'm not suggesting that Judge Barrett intentionally failed to disclose these records in the committee, but normally we have enough time to then go back and find the ones that they did fail to, Leahy said, and I'm absolutely suggesting that the mad rush to confirm her has, predictably, bogged them up with that. What are you going to do? I keep citing the fact, and this just brings me back to Garland. Had this been Schumer's Senate under Hillary Clinton's presidency, this would have been a 7-day confirmation. And if you'd have suggested any wrongdoing and malfeasance with this, you would have been a racist. Keep that in mind. All right, from The Blaze. Amy Coney Barrett's sorority deletes tweet recognizing her Supreme Court nomination, apologizes for being hurtful to many. From Dave Urbanski. Among her many accomplishments while attending Rhodes College back in the day, Phi Beta Kappa, Omicron Delta Kappa, Mortar Board, Sigma Tau Delta English Honor Society, Honor Council, Rhodes Student Hall of Fame, Judge Amy Coney Barrett is also a member of the Kappa Delta sorority. So, as one might expect, the sorority last month noted Barrett's nomination to the U.S. Supreme Court with a tweet, characterizing it as congratulatory, however, is probably taking a bit too far. KD on political appointments, we recognize Judge Coney Barrett's significant accomplishment. We acknowledge our members have a variety of views and a right to have their own beliefs. It isn't clear if the author held her nose or not while pressing the tweet button. But given that Barrett is conservative and everything else that comes along with that, some loud voices apparently were beside themselves over Kappa Delta, daring to say, we recognize Judge Coney Barrett's significant accomplishment. The College Fix reported that the original tweet was deleted, and the day after the original post went up, the sorority wrote an apology tweet to those who offended by the original tweet as well as those upset by its removal. Our approach was disappointing and hurtful to so many, the sorority wrote. Yeah. What was the reaction? Amy Siskind, author, feminist, and activist, said she's embarrassed that Barrett is in any way associated with our sisterhood. She does not stand for our values, and that goes well beyond a half-a-century-old decision. But I appreciate National addressing the hurt that this has caused. Others, however, did not appreciate Siskind's sentiments. Crybaby radical leftist whines about the ascent of truly extraordinary woman, one commentator replied. Pathetic and nasty, too, a semi-normal person apart from politics would congratulate ACB and be honored a sorority sister had attained such success. If she doesn't represent your values, it's time for you to get some new ones, another commenter wrote. Other commenters ripped Kappa Delta's apology. Cowards, one person declared. Yeah, you're a bunch of spineless pieces of shit for issuing this apology, another commenter said. Shame on you, another commenter wrote. One of your sisters has been nominated to the highest court in the land. That accomplishment is worthy of celebration. Instead, you have by default declared that KD celebrates only leftists. Perhaps you need to make that official and expel right-leaning members. Yes. That's what this is going to be. And once again, you look back, and she does not stand for our values. Looseness, drunkenness, lewdness, and idiocy is what you're telling me that your values are. I don't know anything about Kappa Delta. I know nothing about this. But if this is the image that you want to put out into the world, don't be surprised when you get this kind of backlash. That's all that I have to say on that. All right, from the Daily Wire, sounds more like an accusation. Feinstein takes heat after Hot Mike reportedly catches her talking about Barrett's pro-life views and religion. From Amanda Prestigiacomo, and we are about to lose Instagram, so head on over to the YouTube link in the profile. And you can watch the rest of the show with the visual aids. Take your Instagram. From Amanda Prestigiacomo. Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein was reportedly caught on a hot mic Thursday discussing Supreme Court nominee Judge Amy Coney Barrett's pro-life views and her religion. Senator Feinstein's hot mic talking about Judge Amy Coney Barrett, reported FaithWire editor Trey Goins-Phillips. She's been pro-life for a long time, so I suspect with her it is deeply personal and comes with her religion, Feinstein allegedly says about the judge. Let's have a listen on the hot mic. Which means I have to turn your ears back on.
She's been pro-life for a long time. So I suspect that her is deeply personal. And it comes with her religion and
I don't know if you guys could hear that, but yeah, that's she said. So I suspect with her it's deeply personal, comes with her religion. The alleged comment quickly went viral online, drawing backlash from other conservatives. Notably, it was Senator Feinstein who told Judge Barrett that her Catholic dogma lives loudly within her during Barrett's confirmation hearing to be a federal appeals judge in 2017. I don't say this lightly, but some of these politicians actually do hate people with religious moral compass, reacted pro-life advocate Obianuju Ekiocha. The way she says she's pro-life, it sounds more like an accusation. It seems like she's disgusted by that fact. Wow. Lawyer, author, and radio host Jordan Sekulow pointedly noted Article 6 of the Constitution. No religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to office or public trust under the U.S. Yeah, it says that pretty clearly. Which is why I was actually a little bit disgusted knowing the fact that Ilhan Omar was right yesterday when she said, well, if this was a Muslim woman, the conservatives would be losing their minds. Once again, Senator Feinstein is judging Amy Coney Barrett on the basis of her religion. We will never forget what she said. The dogma lives loudly within you, and that's of concern. We cannot and should not tolerate religious bigotry, posted Tea Party Patriots, adding #confirm ACB. Yeah, and we knew what this was going to be, doing anything that they could to tear this woman down because she is deeply, devoutly held Catholic, and she has had it all. Women have been told throughout their entire lives, you have a choice. You can be pro-family and have a big family that loves you, or you can have a career and 7 cats. You need to make your decision. And Amy Coney Barrett said, fuck that. I'm going to have my career, my highly super successful career, and a massive family that loves me. And they're pissed about it. And she might overturn Roe. Oh my God. I don't think she's going to overturn Roe. I don't. All right, I've got one archived here from the Washington Post because they like to block you if you have an ad blocker up or if you don't subscribe to their shitty newspaper. But Dianne Feinstein also had another problem going out through the rest of this here. Reading now from the Washington Post, where democracy goes to die in darkness. Feinstein hugs and praises Lindsey Graham, sparking an outcry from liberals. Time to retire. From Teo Armas. As a contentious week of confirmation hearings for Supreme Court nominee Judge Amy Coney Barrett wrapped up on Thursday, the top Democrat in the Senate Judiciary Committee had little to offer but praise. This has been one of the best set of hearings I've participated in, said Feinstein. It leaves one with a lot of hopes, a lot of questions, and even some ideas, perhaps, of good bipartisan legislation we can put together. If that wasn't enough to anger Democrats who have spent this week trying to paint Amy Barrett's nomination as a sham, Feinstein also thanked the committee's chair, Senator Lindsey O. Graham, and then walked across the room to wrap him in a hug. Never mind that neither senator was wearing a face mask, many Democrats were so much more incensed about what the hug symbolized. A final white flag, a compliment for Graham, after a comparatively tame week of questioning that hours later, at least 2 liberal activist groups called for Feinstein to go. It's time for Senator Feinstein to step down from her leadership position on the Senate Judiciary Committee, Brian Fallon, the executive director of Demand Justice, said in a statement, if she won't, her colleagues need to intervene. Yes, let's put more division and more inability to reach across the aisle in Washington right now, in a time that a certain Asian man in a beanie continually says, it's time for a civil war! We've got a civil war coming. I know that it's a meme that Tim Pool always says civil war, but civil war, civil war, civil war! And the fact that people can still work together on this and still be colleagues. And the R-rated conservative has pointed this out too, that this is a lot like a wrestling match. These people are so contentious when the camera's on, but once the cameras are off, they're in the locker room together snapping towels at each other's asses. Or in the senators' cases, they're sitting and drinking at the same bars. But, of course, if they don't get their red meat of all conservatives are evil, every last conservative is evil, and anybody who would reach across the aisle is just a conservative in disguise. If they don't get that frothing at the mouth anger, then they're not happy. All right, let's keep going. From NBC, Democrats hint at consequences as GOP moves to confirm Amy Coney Barrett. From Sahil Kapoor, Republicans are confident a vote confirming Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court is only days away, but Democrats are looking farther ahead and warning that this swift process on the eve of an election won't be quickly forgotten. Even as senators shared lighthearted, jovial moments with colleagues in the confirmation hearings, some Democrats warned that there could be consequences. You better not do that thing that's constitutional, otherwise you're going to pay for it. Don't worry, you're going to pay for it. Even as senators shared lighthearted and jovial moments with colleagues in confirmation hearings, some Democrats warned that there could be consequences. I read that twice. The rule of because we can, which is the rule that is being applied today, is one that leads away from a lot of the traditions and commitments and values that the Senate has long embodied. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, Democrat of Rhode Island, who has an office full of bulletin boards, push pins, and red yarn, said in a statement, don't think that when you've established the rule of because we can, that should the shoe be on the other foot, that you will have any credibility to come at us and say, yeah, I know you can do that, but you shouldn't because of X, Y, and Z. You know, like possibly ending the filibuster to slam Elena Kagan through. You dolt. White House's warning comes ahead of an election in which polls say Democrats are favored to win the presidency and potentially fully control Congress. That Senate map is a lot harder than I think a lot of pundits think. The remarks foreshadow what could be a major fight among Democrats about whether and how to retaliate if they regain power in January. Party sources say it's unclear how they will respond, and that depends on what happens this election, that if they win, the magnitude of victory will determine whether they have the necessary votes and mandate to take drastic action. Some progressive activists have pushed the party to expand the Supreme Court in retaliation, unhappy that Republicans refused to confirm President Barack Obama's final nominee months before an election, but are letting Trump fill a vacancy as Americans have already begun to cast votes. Neener. Biden says that he's not a fan of court packing as he runs to restore the norms and institutions and keeps his focus on defeating the coronavirus and protecting health care. There's going to be consequences. All right. We're not going to spend time on this because they've been promising that for a while. But I'm going to remind everybody, if you're lurking right now, we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left. And I think they're all really quick hitters here. So if you are lurking right now and you want to get your name read as a thank you for watching the program at the end of the program, I do have the names of everybody throughout the week that I wrote down from the chat that I'm going to thank personally. And I will thank you personally from the chat as soon as we're done with these next 5 articles here. So if you're lurking and you want to get your name read, now is the time to start making comments. And if you're over on DLive, start getting those stickers out too, because I love seeing all those stickers that you guys have gathered. Let's keep going. From the Daily Wire, watch first blind SCOTUS clerk and Barrett mentee gives tear-jerking testimony at judge's confirmation hearing. From Tim Pierce. A blind former student and mentee of Judge Amy Coney Barrett testified to Barrett's compassion and humanity during the 4th day of the judge's confirmation hearings on Thursday. Laura Wolk, delivered a touching testimony of Barrett's kindness and encouragement as Wolk navigated Notre Dame Law School and later a Supreme Court clerkship with her disability. Wolk credited Barrett's aid for her becoming the first blind person to clerk at the Supreme Court. You have heard over the past few days about Judge Barrett's judicial qualities, which are beyond reproach. But should you confirm Amy Barrett, the country will receive something far greater than simply an unparalleled legal mind, Wolk said. It will gain the service of one of the kindest individuals I have ever known. She might overturn Roe, oh my God. Her brilliance is matched only by her compassion, and her integrity is unassailable. Wolk started her first year at Notre Dame Law School behind after she was left without the assistive technology she needed, and her personal computer began to fail. Though she had requested backups from the school before her arrival, bureaucratic glitches resulted in Notre Dame not having any backup technology on hand for Wolk to use. I had been Judge Barrett's student for only a few weeks, but her graciousness and warmth gave me hope that she could provide me with that assistance. Even so, I maintained relatively low expectations based on my past experience. I assumed that Judge Barrett would simply direct me to the proper bureaucratic channels, which could still take weeks, if not longer, to navigate, Wolk said. But Judge Barrett said, or did something altogether differently. She silently listened with deep attention as I explained my situation, giving me the freedom to let down my guard and come apart, Wolk said, later adding, I poured out all my concerns, not just about technology and my worries about failing classes, but all the burdens I currently carried as a disabled woman, navigating a brand new environment. When I finished, Judge Barrett leaned forward, looked at me intently. Laura, she said, with the same measured conviction that we have seen displayed throughout her entire nomination process, this is no longer your problem, it's my problem. Wolk said that after her meeting with Barrett, the technology arrived promptly and helped her set her on a path to a clerk at the Supreme Court. This encounter was the first in which Judge Barrett demonstrated the depth of her generous spirit, but it was far from the last. She has remained a constant source of strength, encouragement, and solace as I have pursued professional and personal opportunities with no roadmap to guide me. Now, I like this. I do to an extent, but I also look back at the fact that this only has bearing because these are televised hearings. Now, I like the fact that these are televised hearings, and I can go back and look at some of this stuff and report it back to you guys. I like that. But I don't like the fact that these are televised because that really does make this a reality TV show. I like that Amy Coney Barrett is compassionate. I like the fact that she did this. I don't think that has any bearing on her judicial decision. I don't. I don't think that this has any bearing on how she will rule reading the Constitution and deciding how laws are applied based on the Constitution. But this also does have to serve as a counter for 25 screeching feminists who were able to get up on the camera and say, my health care, my abortion, I could start a career because of my abortion and I have health care, and this woman's just going to take it all away even though I have no idea how she's going to judge. So it was a nice counter, but once again, the fact that these are televised meant that this gave a lot of people from both sides the stage to make this into a reality TV episode and not a confirmation hearing. All right, let's keep going. From Fox News. Romney says he will vote to confirm Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court, from Morgan Phillips. Utah Republican and carpetbagger, who is noted, Mitt Romney, said he will vote to confirm Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court after being the lone Republican to vote to convict President Trump during an impeachment hearing. After meeting with Judge Barrett and carefully reviewing her record and her testimony, I intend to vote in favor of her confirmation to the Supreme Court, Romney said in a statement released on Thursday. She is impressive, and her distinguished and legal academic credentials make it clear that she is exceptionally well qualified to serve as our next Supreme Court Justice. He added, I am confident that she will faithfully apply the law and our Constitution impartially and regardless of policy preference. Senator Collins still maintains she will not vote to confirm the nominee so close to the election, while Senator Murkowski has not revealed how she will vote. Barrett's fourth and final day of interrogation from senators concluded Thursday, with the Senate Judiciary Committee voting on her nomination on October 22nd and the full Senate likely voting the following week. In September, Romney said that he would vote for a nominee based on their qualifications, not based on the hearing's proximity to the election. And yes, Romney, he was a wild card for this. I know that he had come out and said that he would vote in the confirmation, but he never said how he would vote. He just said it was appropriate for the vote to go through. Now it seems that yes, he is out in the open on the record saying he will vote to confirm her. And honestly, if her opening statement holds true, and this is a big if because a lot of people drink the Beltway water and try to get their own agenda done, but if her opening statement holds true, then she will be an asset to the court. And her career will be one to watch, but this will be something we do need to pay attention to and make sure that we hold her to account for judicial decisions, not activism. Because that Beltway water is poisoned. All right, from the Blaze. It unloaded on me. There it goes. In other news, Matthew Doloff to be charged with second-degree murder in the shooting death of Patriot Rally attendee in Denver. He said he was acting in self-defense. From Carlos Garcia, the man who allegedly shot and killed a Patriot Rally attendee in Denver, will be charged with second-degree murder, according to Denver District Attorney Beth McCann. Matthew Doloff was working as a private security guard for a local news station covering the rally when he got into a physical altercation with the 49-year-old Lee Keltner, a rally demonstrator, according to the arrest affidavit. Prosecutors say that an argument between Keltner, Doloff, and 9 News producer escalated until Keltner smacked Doloff in the head. Doloff then shot Keltner in the chest after he was hit with pepper spray. McCann said that he would file the charge on Monday. The altercation was caught on video and documented by photographers who were there to cover the rallies. Doloff faces up to 48 years in prison if he is convicted of the charge. Early reports after the shooting claimed that Doloff was an Antifa member, but police contradicted that claim in a statement later released. Further investigation has determined the suspect is a private security guard with no affiliation with Antifa. Additional information will be released as it becomes available, read the statement. I sure hope they didn't overcharge him either. Based on what I've seen, I do believe that they're in the right on this, that they're going down the right path, but we're seeing a lot of overcharging as well, trying to get the chair for Derek Chauvin, who's out on bail right now, trying to get the chair for Kyle Rittenhouse. 2 cases where I really think that they are completely overcharged. Chauvin is man 2 at best, after all the rest of the facts came out. And that city is going to burn up once that trial goes through, no matter who's the president. The only thing that's going to be different is whether or not whoever's the governor of Minnesota at the time decides to accept the National Guard or not. Which is a big question, by the way. So that's the next update on this one here from the Daily Wire. Trump says Barron, 14, had COVID-19 for like 2 seconds before testing negative. From Joseph Curl. Apparently Barron is the expert. Who knew? Let's see what Joseph Curl has to say. The White House is just like a lot of regular American households. When one person gets COVID, everyone else in the house often gets it too. So after President Trump caught the virus, his wife, First Lady Melania Trump, got it, and so did their son, Barron, 14. In a rare personal essay posted on the White House website on Wednesday, Mrs. Trump detailed what happened after her husband tested positive on October 1st. First, she said immediately that Barron had, she immediately had Barron tested. To our great relief, he tested negative. But again, as so many parents have thought over the past several months, I couldn't help but think, what about tomorrow or the next day? She wrote, my fear came true when he was tested again and it came up positive. Luckily, he is a strong teenager and has exhibited no symptoms. But, like his father, Barron got rid of the virus quickly. Mrs. Trump said her son has since tested negative. Yeah, these guys are totally in the tank for Trump at this point. which is interesting because Shapiro didn't vote for Trump the first time. Addressing a rally in Des Moines on Wednesday, Mr. Trump said Barron recovered quickly and was doing fine. He had it for such a short period of time. I don't even think he knew he had it because they're young and their immune systems are strong and they fight it off, Trump said, joking that his son had the virus for like 2 seconds. Trump also urged the schools across the country to reopen. Get the kids back to school. You've got to get the kids back to school. Get them back. At a campaign rally in North Carolina on Thursday, Mr. Trump said, "My beautiful Barron had it, and he recovered so fast." I said, "Wait a minute, how long did that take? They have the strongest immune systems, and they're better than all of us. That's what they are." So, yeah, he's recovered. He's out. He's doing great. All right, 2 more here. So get your last minute messages in if you're still just lurking at this point, because I want to make sure that I get the chance to thank you for watching the show this week as well as today. From the Hill, McConnell shoots down $1.8 trillion coronavirus deal, breaking with Trump, from Jordan Kearney. Oh, I got autoplay going in my ear. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell on Thursday shot down the prospect of a coronavirus deal totaling between $1.8 trillion and $2.2 trillion, the goalposts of the current talks between Democrats and the White House. McConnell's comments made to reporters in Kentucky underscore the divisions between President Trump and Senate Republicans on a 5th coronavirus package, with the I've got the hiccups, with the GOP leader preparing to force a vote on the $500 billion bill next week. I don't think so. That's where the administration is willing to go. My members think that $500 billion, highly targeted, is the best way to go, McConnell said, asked about the prospect of a deal totally between $1.8 trillion and $2.2 trillion. McConnell added that the White House, while a reporter was correct that there are negotiations ongoing between Speaker Pelosi and the White House about the higher price range, that's not what I'm going to put on the floor. McConnell's comments come as President Trump signaled on Thursday that he was willing to go higher than $1.8 trillion in negotiations with Democrats. "I'm going to buy your votes, folks. We've got the best money. We've got all kinds of money. And I was a money guy throughout my presidency, so you know what? I'm going to get you more money." But McConnell is set to put a substantially smaller bill on the floor next week. The GOP plan, which McConnell has said will be about $500 billion, will include another round of Paycheck Protection Program funding, money for testing in hospitals, and protections for businesses from coronavirus-related lawsuits. Senate Republicans have struggled to get on the same page as the White House when it comes to the coronavirus negotiations. Senate Republicans offered a $1.1 trillion coronavirus package in late July, but McConnell warned at the time that up to 20 GOP senators could vote no. Then they unveiled a smaller bill in September that authorized about $500 billion that 52 of the 53 GOP senators supported. I don't understand, once again, why they're going so long-term on this. Just do a little bill that'll last for like 3 or 4 weeks. We're almost to the election anyway, and this whole thing is going to go away. So throw a little bill up there. Throw something just to get people by. But no, we've got to just throw money out there and spend it because we've got the money. Let's spend it. All right, last one here. So get those last minute messages in. From the Daily Wire, enrollment rate for college freshmen drops by double digits, from Eric Quintanar. Enrollment rates have declined for undergraduate students at colleges and universities across the U.S. Much of it can be attributed to fewer freshmen choosing to attend, according to a new study released on Thursday. Figures from the National Student Clearinghouse Research Center show that first-year students have enrolled in college at a 16% lower rate than the first years in 2019. This group of students accounts for 69% of the total decline in the national undergraduate enrollment rate, a figure that currently stands at 4% decline. The data also show that community colleges have been particularly affected by the decline, experiencing a roughly 23% drop in enrollment among first-year students over the last year, a time when those in colleges showed a 1.4% increase in enrollment. Total enrollment is down at community colleges by 9.4% over the last year. So I don't want to go too far into this because this is something I've been harping on and railing on forever. You now, most of you are watching it. Most of you are sitting down watching this on a device that can get you any piece of information at a moment's notice. It could be your laptop, like I am doing right now. It can be your smartphone, which can give you any piece of information that you could desire in the world at a moment's notice anywhere that you have 4G or 5G coverage. It could be your tablet that I'm using to watch the monitor on and watch this. You have, the information is there for you. Universities have become centers where people are indoctrinated. To make sure that A, they can fall into line when they're told to, as we see in so many universities at this point, or B, that they come out of the university in such a hard amount of debt that they're wage slaves to their companies, that they have to fear being fired because they know that they need to make that next mortgage payment, rent payment, and student debt payment. You've got 10 years, because that's what most people take the full 10 years to get stuff paid off. You've got 10 years where the company owns you, which brings you usually out to the age of 32 to 34, at which point the biological clock is ticking. It's time to start having that family and having the whole life, or having the mortgage, or having that brand new car. That's how the corporate America traps you. You have to have that college degree. Even though you can get all the information, you can self-teach yourself how to do stuff. The information is out there, and people who have learned how to do it have put it on the internet. I learned how to run OBS from watching YouTube videos. Nobody taught me how to do that. I learned how to do sound production. Hell, I'm reteaching myself how to play the guitar by watching YouTube videos and listening to music and watching Stephen Ignoramus. I'm reteaching myself that. All of the information is out there, and people are starting to realize this. They're starting to realize that they can go out and get a job and not be thousands and sometimes $1 million in debt before they get out into the world and start doing their career. And they're moving the goalpost anyway, because now that everybody has a college degree, now you have to have a master's to stand out or a doctorate to stand out. And people keep looking back and saying, oh, well, let's go back and get a doctorate then. All right. And that's going to be it for the day. That's going to be the end of it. And the last thing that we do on a Friday, because you guys are so good to me and do so much chatting through the week, is throughout the week I take my notebook here and write down everybody's name with my fancy fountain pen. Guys should get a fountain pen if you don't have one already. See that? Fountain pen. But I take down and I write down everybody's name in fountain pen throughout the week, and I read the names of everybody who chatted throughout the week over on the other screen here today. So let's get this up here and let's get to thanking some people, just in case there's a question of whether or not I ever read the live chat. Well, let's draw this out here a little bit, and let's start from the top and see who we get to thank today. I do see some new names in here, so that's kind of cool. Miami 1984 says stop the spending, and Savannah can burn in hell, she sucks. I disavow, and that is defensively Susan, by the way. Savannah can defensively burn in hell. Spartan 0000 says 10K stimulus checks. Let's go Zog printers. Money printer go Burr. Miami says he's not a Q guy, but killing thousands of babies a day seems to be quite demonic. There's only one Q that I acknowledge, and that is John Delancey. Let's see, who else do we have in here? We got a good conversation going between Spartan and Miami. I'll have to go back and read that later. Ron Helton with the AOC sticker. My future wife, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Good morning, Q. All right, you guys have another good conversation going on in here. No buffering. Looks like it's on his... Oh, did I buffer for a little while? Yeah, it looks like I did. I lost 236 frames. I'm sorry, guys. Imagine being betrayed by your sorority. I don't have to imagine that. Lafayette is here with some 4 underscores. Hello, thank you for dropping by and hanging out with us. I think maternal female instincts are not good in politics. You know what? I don't care. As long as you do your job properly, I don't care how you pee. That's been my stance on a lot of things. A lot of people going into this election are coming up and saying, well, what about the gays? What about the transsexuals? And you know what? Honestly, I don't care who you fuck or how you pee. Just do what you do effectively, and we're good. All right. Ed wants his barefoot pregnant and making him a sandwich in the kitchen. Actually, I've always been more drawn to career women. I don't know why. I'm such a feminist. I swear. Let's see. Lafayette says, wait, who is this Asian man? Tim Pool is this Asian man. Civil War, it's a meme for Tim Pool. I just get up, I'm just a regular milquetoast fence sitter. Thanks, Lafayette. Who else do we have here? I can't wait to go back through and read this. This is some good stuff here just from what I'm skimming, looking for names to think, people to think. I don't know what Stingray is. I've got LLL Sash LLL. Morning, Ed. How we doing? I don't know who you are, but you obviously know who I am, so welcome on in. If I actually know you, Sash, by the way, let me know, because I don't recognize your Twitter name, but given the fact that you used the regular instead of J. Edgar, tells me that I think you know who I am, that we know each other. So, and Miami called him Twitch, by the way, because of the way that the Restream bot displays it over between everything. So that's everybody for today. Thanks everybody who came by and hung out with us. I know we've welcomed in a couple of new members of the audience as well throughout the week because of the shift in Stephen Ignoramus's time slot, which thanks to him for that as well. I know I'll be heading over there and watching him as soon as I'm off the air here. All right, so throughout the rest of the week here, we had on Monday, we had Ron Helton was in here, we had Spartan. Thanks again. Dabba Cannabis joined us on Monday, Miami 1984, and Steel and Souls 15. From the Real Off Hours Matt Christensen group over on Discord came and hung out with us, so thanks to everybody over on Monday. On Tuesday, we had Ron Helton. I had a Dankley, which was a new name in here, over on Twitch, so thanks for coming and hanging out with us. Luke Wee, my friend from Minnesota, who also hangs out in the Real Off Hours Discord server. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us. Miami 1984 showed up and hung out. And the RRC podcast popped in and bumped a bunch of stickers. Nice. I called them Twitch on purpose. They're all the same. Oh, we love our Twitch audience over here. I encouraged people to go watch my video game stream on Twitch last night. All right. On Wednesday, we had a little bit of a slow day. We had Ron Helton was in here, carried the bulk of the conversation. Wolf336 showed up towards the end, and Quest Fanning, one of my friends from over on Twitter. If you're not following Quest Fanning over on Twitter, go and look for him over there. Joined us over on the Periscope. And on Thursday, we had Ron Helton. We had Blind Fear over on YouTube come and hung out with us. Public Citizen LTD, one of my resident leftist friends, came and hung out with us again. I saw that over there. Over on Twitch, MK Ultra Bear over on DLive, and finally Miami 1984 came and hung out with us yesterday. So, plus thanks to everybody who came and hung out during the video game stream last night, Miami 1984, Stephen Ignoramus, Wyatt Birkenhoff coming in and checking out the new game. We're playing Super Mario RPG now, and man, that brings back a lot of great memories. All right, that's it. That's the week. And this weekend is an Ed Talk weekend, so we can have a nice long conversation. Make sure you tune in for that. I don't know what we're going to do, but I'm going to do a flying solo one because I haven't had time to set up a roundtable on this one. But we'll do a solo one, an hour of listener questions. So make sure you show up. That is, once again, at 5:30 Central Time. Tell some friends. If we get 20 people in the chat going at once, we'll do an hour and a half of just nothing but what you guys over on the audience want to talk about. So bring your questions, bring your topics, and that's your hour. So I'm looking forward to that. I haven't done that for a while on a Saturday because of the debates and everything else that I've streamed throughout the week. So I owe you guys one. I definitely do owe you guys a sit down and talk. The last time we did an Ed Talk on a Saturday was the Ruth Bader Ginsburg one. So I definitely owe you guys. Come and hang out tomorrow. That is at 5:30 Central. Otherwise, we will be back here on Monday for the Red and Ed Show. Also at 5:30 Central Time on Monday, or more contemporary, bright and early. Until then, I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.